Hi everyone, I'm going to take you through a formula that I have used for many years that has helped folks move from stress to peace. And oftentimes when I'm working through this process, I end up just naturally drawing a diagram part by part to illustrate what's going on, to make it clear through an illustration of what's actually happening. I've noticed that the visual is helpful for a lot of people, and so I thought I would just take you through the visuals, take you through the process in a generic kind of way, and also know that if you need help or if you would like to work with me and go through this process together, a lot of insights come when we're working together, when we have two minds on the stressor, on the thought system that's bringing the stress. But the first thing that we really need to begin with, I think, is to understand the true function of our emotions. Our emotions are an alarm clock. They're a system that is brilliant, that helps us know, because we feel it, that we are in this moment abandoning the truth, abandoning true sight and true wisdom, and in danger of abandoning who we are as we show up in this world through our true essence, our true nature, which is inherently curious and loving and generous and playful and strong. So again, just to repeat that, the function of the emotions is an alarm clock. It's an alarm clock to wake us up to the fact that we're just abandoning the peace, the grace, and the love of this now moment. And so I suppose this brings us now to the first image. And so the truth of this now moment is that there is this incredible, unconditional, loving support that's here, evidenced by the floor, the furniture you're sitting on, by the earth that's supporting this floor, the earth that supports this life, without conditions, without argument, without permission, the air that we breathe, the sun and the moon, the light, nature herself. So what's true in this moment, when we take a breath and we look around, is that we are unconditionally loved and supported in this moment. This moment is filled with the abundance of possibility of unconditional love and support. So when we settle down into that truth, into the truth that's here in this moment, and if we put all our attention here, then our minds are just simply filled with reality. And again, the reality is that in this moment we are 100% safe and supported, and that life, the universal cosmic intelligence and force, is conspiring to support our lives. So the problem happens when we abandon that truth. So all of us, even now as you're listening to this, watching this video, you are sitting in truth, sitting in love, sitting in the support, which is very, very good. And so what happens, though, is that a thought can come in and distract us from the peace and the grace and the truth of this now moment. And so we might have a thought that's based in the past. And so the past might be a review of things that didn't go the way you wanted or expected or planned. Perhaps somebody behaved in a way you didn't want, expect, or plan, or maybe you yourself behaved in a way that you didn't like, you didn't want, you didn't expect or plan. Or maybe life events gave you something unexpected and unwanted and unplanned. So when we bump up against that, we might go back right out into the past and recycle that in our now moment. And so if those thoughts aren't peaceful, then what happens is that it triggers an emotional response in our bodies. And that emotional response, again, is the alarm clock that's reminding us that we're right at the cusp of abandoning the truth, which is our personal will is disengaging from the divine will. And the divine will is reality, giving us what we need in any given moment. God uses a toothbrush in the toilet, a flat tire, a doorknob catching your coat or your bag, a dropped phone. Uses all of these things to give us pause. And so when we feel that flash of indignation, when we feel that flash of anger and frustration, that's just a rebellion in the face of the greater purpose of that happening. And so your coat is caught on the doorknob and not letting you get past, not letting you go out the door, because perhaps you need to take time to be still and to explore, to meditate, to pray, to do a deeper inquiry into something that's going on in your life, in your world. Or perhaps the toothbrush fell in the toilet to have you pause. That what really should you be cleaning up? What unfinished business should you be cleaning up, and that you haven't been? That's, still in the muck and the mire of a toilet bowl. Why has your phone smashed or become lost? Perhaps you are using it as a distraction rather than communicating with self and with the infinite divine creator, with God. Also, when we feel those flashes of upset, it's often an indication at fairly superficial level that we're depleted, that we're not full up. Because if we were full up with the grace and the truth and the love and the support of this now moment, we would be too full for there to be room for that flash of indignation to arise. So it indicates at the most superficial level that we're depleted, that we need to rest, that we need to replenish, that there's not 100% balance, because it was just so easy for the peace to be stolen from this little happening, like a toothbrush in the toilet, or a coat caught on a knob, or the inconvenience of a lost phone or a smashed screen. So the truth of it is that in this moment, any given moment, we are sitting in the truth of the unconditional love and support of this now moment. And that's the most important thing. But so the mind rides out into the past. And so if those thoughts are stressful, then the past can result in these feeling states of just overall feeling bad, feeling sad, feeling mad, and sick and tired. And so because we don't like feeling, because we haven't been trained and society doesn't teach us, so we then try to get ourselves out of it because it feels bad, it's uncomfortable. We don't want to feel this anymore. So we try to fix it. But we don't fix it at the source. So if the emotions are an alarm clock, then how do we stop an alarm? Right? I mean, I could hit the snooze button, but that doesn't stop it at the source. I could turn down the volume. I could cover it with a pillow. But to stop it at the source, I need to go in and turn it off. And so the way to turn it off is to live in the truth, to align our personal will with divine will. And so that try-to energy creates this kind of strange persona. It's kind of like a stoicism, the insistence that I'm all right, even when you're not really feeling all right, or you kind of make yourself feel all right. It can also result in, again, these distracted tendencies. And if you say to me, okay, well, I was going to the gym, or I was heading out on a hike when my toothbrush fell in the toilet, or when my coat caught on the knob, or my phone was smashed because I left it on the roof of my car and then I was taking off and I forgot and lost and smashed my phone. So I was trying to do a good thing, right? I was heading into nature like you would tell me, or I was heading to the gym to raise my endorphins and to get my heart beating and to feel better. And I, of course, support that. I would say, yes, that's fantastic. However, what's the motive? Does that thought come from this trying to get out of these unpleasant feeling states, or is the inspired thought just a direct reminder from your infinite wisdom to say, okay, it's time to get moving? And when when it comes from that, when the thought is a divine one, when it's an inspired one, I would make a good bet that the phone doesn't get smashed, the toothbrush doesn't, end up in the toilet bowl. And so, in as much as the mind rides out into the past, the mind can also wander itself into the future, into imagination. And when we ride out into the future, into imagination, we feel out of control. And so we again try to get that control back. But when the mind, the tip-offs, the alarm, the quality of the alarm when we ride out into the future is these feelings of worry and feeling of anxiety that can amplify and become panic and fear, right? It's all connected. You can feel that. And so then what happens is, your mind, you end up in this pinball machine where the ball of your thinking or your attention is just pinging from the past to the future and back again, back and forth, back and forth. And as soon as you let your attention, your focus go, spend time in the past, riding back into the past, and wandering off into the future, that's abandonment. And that's why a lot of, especially when these stressful thoughts are around a relationship, there's this feeling of abandonment or this fear of being abandoned. And so what's really happening here is that it's an abandonment first and foremost of self. And then notice how you abandon others. So in as much as you're thinking they're abandoning you, or you're afraid that they'll abandon you, think how that very thought has you abandoning them, because you'll protect yourself and prevent yourself from saying what you truly want to say, because you're afraid to be vulnerable, not realizing that it's the vulnerability that is the medicine and is the strength, actually. And so, yeah, if I could give you God's perspective and understanding and definition of vulnerability, and make sure that your perspective and understanding and the definition is the same, then you might show up quite differently. And so we can look in the one-on-one sessions, we look at the thoughts. We look at the thoughts that fill those thought bubbles of the past, when the mind rides out into the past. And then we look at the thought systems that occur, the individual thoughts, when the mind wanders off into the future. And so we can look at them together and then just see what the deeper truth of it is. Because in those thoughts, the key is there. The key to your peace is actually in those thoughts. And so when we work together, we find the key. We find the key to unlock the truth, to bring you home, truly, not with the trying to, not through the trying to energy, but truly to the peace and the grace and the generosity and the humor, the good humor that's right here in this now moment. And so just take a moment to be still, to drop the shoulders away from the ears, to look up, to look around, to exhale, to smile at the beauty and the wonder, the magnificence and the intelligence of all that is here, all that's this, as self, as the world, as nature. Truly amazing and awesome and magnificent. And so we smile at the truth of it. We can lay our hands, right hand over the heart, the left hand over the right hand, and just gently come home to the sound of our own heart beating, and telling our own heart that, I love you. And I'm sorry for the times that I preferred my stressful thoughts over the truth of this now moment. And so had you contracting in this false feeling of protectiveness. Because I haven't realized that the truth is actually the greatest protector, the most powerful boundary setter, that we don't need to try to set boundaries, because it just simply becomes a natural effect of self-knowledge and as a result self-love. And so we can say to our heart, this beautiful, precious, magnificent heart that was beating before we were even born, we can say, I love you, and I'm sorry for those moments when I chose not peace instead of peace, instead of the truth. And so please forgive me for that, but I'm paying attention now. I'm listening now. You could even get very, very quiet and just ask your heart for the best, most appropriate message for right now, for what's needed right now, for what you're thinking about, what's powerful enough, the topic that's powerful enough to drag your attention into the past or to write it out into the future. So what's the best message that you have to tell me, your advice, your prescription for me while I'm listening? And thank you. Thank you for working even when I'm sleeping, for working when I'm not paying attention. But I'm so grateful. Yeah, and that's enough. That's the medicine. And you've just come home to the love that's here and that never left. You're sitting in it. And so reach out if you would like to work on something together. Usually the sessions it's rare to get it into 60 minutes, but 90 minutes, around 90 minutes is enough time. Sometimes it's 2 hours depending, but around 90 minutes, and includes a little quiet meditation just to settle ourselves in, to relax the nervous system, to let the truth of our divinity just kind of sink in to ourselves, to the space between the cells. All right, well, thank you. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.